Hey guys, what's going on? Daley Productions here, and we are back with some more Reddit stories today. We're going to be going back to Choosing Beggars and looking at the top posts from the past week. So this first one was made 6 days ago and is titled, Text from a Choosing Beggar Who Wanted a Refund for Something She Ruined. Hey, remember me? It's blank. You sold me that painting a while ago? Remember? Oh yeah, lol, what's up? I want a refund for it. What? I want a refund. The stupid thing got ruined. Well, I mean, I'm sorry about that, but I sold it to you last year. I'm not gonna refund you. F you, stupid bee. Your art was anyway. I love how they first of all asked for a refund for something over a year ago, even if it was a retail store. That wouldn't fly. Not to mention, there's nothing wrong with the art. I'm sure it was perfectly good. But they ruined it, so, I mean, that's so stupid. Also, I like how the user bleeped out the B word, but not F or S word, so, I don't know, that was a little funny too. Okay, this next one is called, I want free food, but I'm a big choosing beggar, so I'll need the supreme meal, plus a Coke. I was eating at a local Chinese restaurant the other day, when in walks the star of our show, Choosing Beggar. The restaurant was empty except for the employees, me, Choosing Beggar, and another customer who I shall refer to as Bamboozled Donor. Choosing Beggar. Can you buy me a meal? Me. No man, sorry. Now I'm not normally a dick, but it also is not my first rodeo, and I can't afford to pay for random meals. Choosing Beggar shuffled off and approached Bamboozled Donor and asked for some food. Bamboozled Donor. Okay, I'll get you a 2-item combo. Choosing Beggar. I need the 3-item combo. I'm a big guy. Me, thinking about this sub and how this story will be making an appearance. Bamboozled Donor. I've only got money for 2 items. Choosing Beggar. I want the 3-item combo. Bamboozled Donor. I can only pay for 2. Talks directly to the employee, Choosing Beggar. Get me the chow mein, fried rice, and Mongolian beef. Bamboozled Donor. No, I can only get you 2. Choosing Beggar. And I need a large Coke, cause that's a lot of salt. Me. Emojis. Bamboozled Donor. No, I can't pay for all that. Choosing Beggar went on a colorful tirade about Bamboozled Donor being a cheap A, but Bamboozled Donor stood his ground and ended up refusing to pay for any of the food. Thankfully, the employee at the counter could tell this was going to be a disputed transaction from the get-go and had not begun to put the order in. Choosing Beggar left empty-handed and could be heard hollering about Bamboozled Donor from about a block away. This one really irks me because he was so close to getting his food, and if he had just kept his mouth shut and not been a choosing beggar, he would have been a lot happier. But I guess some people think they're entitled to more if you give them a little bit, so it's honestly better off in these situations to just say no. Unless you of course know the person, then it's kind of different, but in this case, with a complete stranger, you probably just shouldn't even say yes or indulge them at all. Okay, so this next story is, I want a refund for my free dental whitening. Hello everyone, this happened a couple of weeks ago and found this place to put it on. Some background, I work in Brazil. English is not their first language, so be nice to them. But around here, it's usual to work as a dentist to someone who owns a big clinic, as in a partnership. You use their materials and they get the payment returning to you a share. But you are free to do your prices, choose your clients, as long as you give their share. So now, to the beggar. As soon as you graduate in dentistry, you receive a curse, the beggary. Relatives, cousins, close friends, not so close friends, people that think you are a friend, all of them start to ask for free dental cleaning, filling, whitening. You charge your family? Come on, just this time, etc. I never do this kind of thing, but a friend of mine was going to get married and asked for some help to get better for their photos. I then offer him a dental cleaning as a gift for the wedding. The procedure is done by applying the product in the office per 3 sessions, 3 separate dates. 2 sessions went fine, no problem at all, but the third one happened, and different people respond different for the whitening for various reasons. His teeth got white, but not that white as in the TV commercials. I explained to him, and at the end of the process, he thanked me and went home. But in the next morning, suspenseful music, I was called to my boss's office. Great guy, very good friend of mine. Let's call him Big Boss, BB. I got there and the combo was as follows. CB for choosing beggar friend, BB Big Boss, me, the one and only. BB. Hello man, I call you in here because this gentleman here said that you did a poor job in his whitening and he is unsatisfied with your service. I think he thought my boss wouldn't call me for this because he was almost hidden underneath the table. Me, really? I thought I had explained very well about the procedure to him, and this was the best I could do. BB, can you explain to us again why you are unsatisfied? CB, well, my wedding is about to come, and my teeth didn't get the way I expected, and for this reason, I would like my money back. Money back? You didn't pay for it, was the only thing in my head. Me, you want the money back? What you mean by it? If you want, I can offer you a complimentary treatment for a better price, but I offer this treatment to you as a gift. It came from my payment. CB, no it didn't. I paid for this, and I refuse to pay a nickel more for anything. I want the money. My boss looked to me and knew I was on the right because I generally don't upset any patients, and when I do, I work it out on my own. BB, well, you really don't want to accept the offer of OP? CB, no, I want the money and you will give it to me. It is my right. Me, well, okay, no problem. BB, please cancel the credit card transaction from the treatment and we are done here. I paid the part of the clinic on card. Our system registered the card of the payment for further consults, and therefore my card would receive the money back. CB almost had a heart stop. CB, no, no, no. I want the money back. I prefer that way, and the card is already canceled. Me, but it was in a credit card, so the payment will be canceled and you will not need to take it out of your pocket. CB, I don't want it like that. I want the money. BB looked into the system, saw my name in the credit card info. We don't save pins, just names and 4 digits. BB, sir, I look at the system and I'm canceling the transaction. The charge will not be done and you are fine to go. CB, I didn't agree to this. I want the money. Give me the money or I will sue you. I will come back with the police. I look CB dead in the eye. Okay, go get them. We will be waiting here. BB, our lawyer's number is this. You can contact him with any of your complaints. CB, this isn't over. He walks away. My boss gave me the money back, and we were all waiting to hear from his lawyer. Needless to say, that didn't happen. I didn't go to his wedding, and I will not do anything for free ever again. Wow, this one was really crazy. It's pretty clear that the choosing beggar was just trying to get some free money out of this and didn't expect the boss to call in the employee to get it all worked out and just expected the money to be paid to him. Thank God the boss was smart enough to bring in the employee in question, or else they would have just lost the money, which would have sucked. Honestly, these kinds of people are just the worst. Alright guys, so our last one here is a bit of a longer one. It's called The Racist and the Slur, a Prorevenge / Choosing Beggar crossover story, so we're getting a little of both. So I guess I thought I'd start this off with some background. I'm a very, very white-passing Hispanic woman. Even living in South Florida at the time, I wasn't in an area where you would see a ton of us Hispanics. To look at me, you'd seriously never guess I was anything other than white. I had just gotten a job at this French bakery and about 2 minutes from my house. As a baker with a niche skill, European pastries are my jam. So finding a job I didn't have to commute for was amazing. My boss was the stereotypical French chef type. Jovial for the most part, but strict and likely to throw a pan at your head when you mess up. No disrespect, the man was a god in his kitchen and I learned so much there. The issue was that he didn't understand certain nuances of American culture, like why hiring a racist head was probably not good, especially when all of your workers are Hispanic or POC. Q effing Georgia. Name changes, blah blah. She was named after a southern state. When I got there, the chef had 4 other people working for him. 2 of these people were a young married couple who had moved to America from Colombia. While the wife didn't exactly look Latina, you would know she was from the moment she opened her mouth. Sweetest girl ever, we're still friends. Her husband was a decent looking guy, but super possessive, and ended up actually being kind of a jerk. But at the same time, we all got along great. The 4th worker was our part-time dishwasher, another dude. Georgia was always sweet as pie to the men in the bakery, the chef, the husband, and the dishwasher, who was 16. Georgia was in her mid to late 50s. Georgia was one of those bless your heart southern ladies who had moved to Sofla for gym trainer boyfriend. The 2 of them kind of just fed into one another's BS. At first, she was super nice to me. One day I came in and she pulled me aside to say, "Oh, thank God there's another white person here. It's been a little too dark in here all morning." That was strike 1. At first, I didn't really love the wife yet either. She got an excellent work ethic and doesn't get chatty on the job, which I took as her just ignoring me. Time goes by though, and wife and I start talking more, usually in Spanish, but I switch it to English whenever George is around to be polite. Georgia doesn't seem to like that I'm fluent, but I guess she assumes that I'm just one of those Floridians who learn Spanish to survive. It gets interesting around Christmas. Sweetest Pie Georgia goes out of her way to make little stockings for everyone in the bakery, conveniently forgetting wife's at home, to hang up over the faux fireplace in the dining area. Now, of all the types of Hispanics to be, I'm Puerto Rican. For those of you who don't know, in Puerto Rico, we have a very specific drink we make around the holidays. The flavor profile is the same more or less, but the exact recipe changes from family to family. Some families are more strict than others. My family always insisted that the recipe was sacred, that only Puerto Ricans are allowed/supposed to make it. But by this point, you can easily Google a recipe online. I don't really see the issue. It's not a huge deal, just don't share our recipe. Edit. I asked my mother about it and she says it's an old superstition about how only Borinquen can make it with the right amount of love or something, which is kind of cute, but all I knew at the time of this story was that my abuela was protective of her recipe and not to share it with anyone she hadn't vetted. Around the holidays, we make cuquito. In my family, the patriarch, my father in our case, makes the original recipe. Everyone else brings their version of it. We all get drunk by having a tasting of the various coquitos. Last year, there was a chocolate peanut butter one, a cookies and cream one, a salted caramel one, a passion fruit one. I made a vegan one for shits and giggles, and a dark chocolate cherry one. It's generally a thing where you make a big batch and give out bottles of it to your friends, family, and coworkers. So this specific year, I made a batch of authentic coquito, a la my abuela's recipe, and brought it in to fill the stockings, pointedly hand-delivering wife's to her in a slightly larger bottle to make up for her lack of stocking. I gave Georgia an extra small bottle so she could also share with her boyfriend. The dishwasher got a virgin coquito. Everyone was really happy with their gifts. We had a great last shift, then the bakery closed up for 2 weeks over the holidays since we only operated for the business park in our plaza, which was also closing down for the holidays. When I got back, everyone was thanking me for the coquito and saying how much they enjoyed it. Chef, dishwasher, husband, and wife all understood it was a cultural drink and didn't even bring up asking for the recipe. Wife asked if I would be willing to make it for her again for a much larger bottle. She even offered to pay. I said no to the payment, but agreed to make her another batch. To me, and how I was raised in my family, that's how someone who wants to be respectful and appreciative should ask. How effing ever, when Georgia walked into our work our first day back, she followed me into the back room where my designated area was and started pestering me. The conversation went something like this. Gee, now I know some people are testy about family recipes and I completely understand if you don't want to share, but I was hoping I could get that recipe because it was just amazing. Best thing I've ever had. Me. Wow, thank you so much for that. Actually, it's a thing Puerto Ricans make and we're not really supposed to share it with people who aren't from the island, and that recipe is my abuela's, so I can't. But there are recipes online if you just Google coquito. Gee, excuse me? Me. Huh? I've given you a compliment and you just... wow. She walked away and I was thoroughly confused about why she was mad, but I went back to work. Throughout the day, she got progressively meaner to me, eventually treating me the same way she treated wife. Okay, fine. Wife, husband, and I just fully switched to Spanish from then on. After a few months of this, one day I needed something high up and Georgia is about an inch or two taller than me. Plus, she always wears heels. In a kitchen, mind you. I asked her if she wouldn't mind helping me out. She couldn't possibly still be mad about whatever the heck that was, right? Oh, so wrong. The absolute wrongest. She turned to me and snapped. I would, but I'm only allowed to help Norwegians. What? Me. Huh? Gee. Huh? You know, like you said about coquito, you know, I get it. You're proud of your little drink. My boyfriend and I had a good laugh about that. He said, it's not like Puerto Rico had anything else to be proud of. And he's right. Me. Wow. I started to walk away to find a step stool or something because this had gone nowhere fast. But nope, Georgia wasn't done with me. She followed after me and continued. Gee. Yeah. Wow. That's what he said when I told him how racist against Norwegians you are. I'm just thinking, who, whatting, how, with what now? When did I ever say anything about Norwegians? I guess that confusing look was all she needed, so she got in my face and kept going. Gee, remember? You said only Puerto Ricans can make it. Well, my boyfriend found another recipe for me online, and he's been making it for me. Yours tasted like garbage. His is much better. You people can't even make your own drink right. So for those of you who maybe don't understand the context here, I'd like to spell it out now. The tradition is that you make this with love for the people in your life to share as your gift to them. It's always welcome at any paranda or gathering you go to as a gesture of appreciation. But it's also a way for us to share our culture with people we genuinely like. You know, a gift. For me, this was the equivalent of someone demanding to know how much I paid for their present. Does it really matter? Yes, you can Google the present online to get it for yourself, but to ask is relatively tacky. When she asked initially, I assumed she just didn't understand. Apparently, in telling her that it's a Puerto Rican thing, and I can't give out the recipe, but she's welcome to find a copycat recipe online, that was somehow the equivalent of saying, you can't have it because you're Norwegian and therefore trash. Not sure how she made that leap, I just summed it up to white people not being used to hearing the word no. But as she kept getting in my face, grinning like the sh-itter she is, so arrogant and gleeful to finally be able to unload this thing she'd been stewing up on for months, I just kinda snapped a little and stepped into her personal space. She might be taller, but I've got more muscle. All I do is lift heavy-ass bags of flour and giant croc sculptures all day. As calmly as I possibly could, I said, "You need to get out of my face right now." Then she really sealed her fate. Gee, excuse me, where in the world would someone like me ever have to listen to a spick like you? Again, for all of those who don't know, spick is a slur. A lot of times people use it to encompass all Hispanics. Historically, however, it was used to target Puerto Ricans exclusively after we started swarming New York by the boatloads and claiming, "We don't speaky Inglés." And for me, personally, I went to a lot of schools where I was either the only Puerto Rican or plumb the only Hispanic, so I heard that slur a lot growing up, and now when I hear it, I see red. Of course, I was at work. I respected my chef too much to punch an old lady. I stared at her for a solid 30 seconds and then walked away. Apparently, she went to the chef and complained about me. I went into the bathroom to call my mom and tell her what happened. She calmed me down. Always the voice of reason. It's a great job otherwise. When I left the bathroom, my chef was ready to fire me over what Georgia had told him I'd said. Apparently, she told him I cursed her out and then threatened her life. I explained to him that she called me a racial slur against Hispanics, and it had me very upset. Since it was her word against mine, nothing happened. After that, she became very determined to get me fired. She would be walking by me, she'd put her hands on my shoulders and push me out of the way, bumping into me, then giggling, "Excuse me," in her sweet little voice. Husband and wife just shook their head and welcomed me to the club. Then, much to her dismay, I got promoted. I was given a key to the bakery. It became my job to close up the bakery, usually leaving me alone with Georgia for the last few hours of the day. She started working even harder to prove him that I was crazy loose cannon that I couldn't be trusted. If I was working by a particular machine and needed the table next to me for my mise en place, she would choose that table to work on so I had nowhere to put my stuff. If I moved her stuff out of the way, she would pick up my and move it to the other side of the bakery. I ignored it and her as best I could. One day, I was holding a sheet tray vertically, nothing on it yet, while talking to the chef in a particularly narrow part of the kitchen. She didn't need to pass me for anything specific, but she decided she needed to go to the bathroom to fix her makeup a handful of times. So she kept just walking back and forth so she could push me out of the way in her sickly, sweet way. By the 6th time, she actually pushed me, so I went into a nearby shelf. The chef saw me hit it, but didn't see why. I corrected myself and set my feet shoulder width apart. The next time she passed to go back to the register area, she put both hands on my shoulders and tried to push again, this time finding me staying firmly in place. Again she pushed, harder this time. I jerked my arm away from her, and that's important, but since I was holding the sheet tray, it may have hit her. That wasn't my intention. It's also important to note that there are cameras all over the bakery. On that particular day, I had an interview for my actual dream job. This donut shop in Del Rey was opening. They wanted experienced bakers, me, to work together to create their menu from scratch. It offered benefits. The starting pay was $20 per hour, which was a lot for where I was at my career at that point. I'd scheduled the interview for after work, with ideally still plenty of time to get home, change, and then drive up. What I hadn't accounted for was Georgia being an a-hole. So okay, I jerked my arm away, stepped in her face, and growled out, "I swear to God, if you ever touch me again, you stupid." She grinned at me and then feigned offense while yelling, "Did you just call me a stupid?" Obviously, the chef heard that and stepped between us, demanding to know what was going on. At that time, I was still respectful enough to the chef to apologize for making a scene where customers could hear. I pointedly did not apologize for what I said to Georgia, and she kept pushing it, demanding I be fired on the spot. She also didn't say anything about the sheet tray hitting her, if it had. I went back to my side of the kitchen and got back to work. Hours later, chef, husband, and wife had all gone home. Dishwasher finishes up its duties and leaves. Georgia keeps walking back and forth over the floors I just mopped for seemingly no reason. I'm obviously rushing through things. As much as I loved working there when Georgia wasn't there, I just wanted to be out, and she wanted me out too, so it seemed like a win-win. But she didn't only want me out, she wanted me unemployed and unemployable. Finally done with everything, I just sat down to wait for her to finish counting the register. She was taking her sweet time with that. An hour passed, hour and a half. I called the interviewer and explained that I had to close up and I wasn't sure how long it would be. I was very sorry, blah blah blah. He was cool with it, but explained that he was trying to get hiring and training done sooner rather than later, and he would be leaving at 8 p.m. Usually we're all out by 3:30. At this point, it was almost 6. Considering we closed at 3, you can imagine why I was frustrated, especially when factoring in that Delray was a solid hour north of me and now I'd be driving in rush hour. So after 2.5 hours of her counting and recounting, I go into the front of the bakery and say, I really need you to finish up. At that point, she was just milking the clock unnecessarily. She ignored me. Hello? Nothing. I shrugged and turned off the lights in the front. She stopped, walked over, turned them back on, went back to counting. I got up and turned the lights off. She's in her 50s at this point. I'm in my 20s. I'm the baby of the family. I don't like being a brat, but trust me, fam, I can brat it up with the best of them. Again, she walks over and turns them on, then goes back to work. It's also important to note that as soon as the chef left and the front door was locked, she sat down at a table and started texting until all the other work was done, and only got up to do her side work when I was completely finished, knowing I needed to wait on her. Again, I'm sitting right by the light switch. I get up, flick it off, and lean on the wall next to it with a "your move" expression on my face. She looks up and sees that I'd be in her way, ready for her to try and physically move me again, then starts yelling, I need the light, I can't see. This is BS, because there's so much light outside at this point that the front room is really well lit. I said, your side work takes 15 minutes, it's been 3 hours, finish your work and get out. She stares at me for a solid minute and then does something to the register that I can't see, grabs her purse and walks out the back door yelling, we'll see what chef has to say about this. I walk over to see what she did and see the register was left open with no cash in it. I call the chef and explain what happened, no surprises. She's already called him crying, telling him how I refuse to let her work. He gets there, I say, so can I leave? He demotes me on the spot, takes back my key. Fair enough, but I wasn't fired. Then he sees all the cash from the register is gone and he calls the cops. At this point, I'm thinking there's no way I'll make this interview. A police officer gets there. He takes statements from both the chef and myself. Then they finally get a hold of Georgia, who admits to having hidden the money for safekeeping, more likely to make it look like I stole it, but that didn't happen and I can't prove it. Chef chews me out for being immature and bullying my coworker. Yeah, okay, but he lets me go. I barely made it to my interview, but the guy loved that I was so intent on being there despite all that happened, and he hired me on the spot. I told him I would need to give my 2 weeks notice and help my chef find a replacement, which the guy also liked. I might have a temper, but I'm loyal to a fault. So I was already intent on leaving at this point. The following workday, I come in and chef pulls me aside. He tells me that Georgia quit that morning because she was scared to come to work. She was going to be pressing charges and chef had already released his security tapes to the police. He just wanted to give me fair warning. Here's where the revenge comes into play. Some more background. Yay! Not only am I white-looking Hispanic, which throws some people off, apparently I come from money, lots of it. Both of my divorced parents each have a veritable wall of their own personal lawyers. My dad started up in Goya Bean Factory on the island where he worked to push himself through school. My mother lost her father very young and only made it through school on a scholarship as one of the first Puerto Rican transfer students to ever graduate NYU with a PhD. Hard workers, very passionate, and now rich thanks to that. The point is, someone can sue me and I don't have a dollar to my name. I'm a baker. It's not a glamorous life, but my husband and I make enough to live and that's enough. We're happy. Not really worth suing though. How effing ever, if someone comes for me, they'd better have a damn solid case or they'll get a tidal wave of damn good lawyers spraying right up their twats. And that's pretty much what happened. The security footage showed that the sheet tray I'd been holding when jerking away did in fact hit her. So I was taken into custody for about 4 hours. My phone call went to my sister. She works in advertising, so she's used to getting calls from weird numbers. My parents won't answer those. She answered and immediately enlisted both of my parents. Within 20 minutes of that call, I had one lawyer from each parent getting me out. Within the week, I was happily working in the donut shop since one lawyer said I shouldn't go back to the bakery until the situation was cleared. Fine by me. Georgia, oh sweet, simple Georgia. Those security tapes she was so sure showed me attacking her. They showed me jerking my arm away from her in self-defense after she'd pushed me 6 times in a row. Husband and wife agreed to testify against her for workplace harassment. She ended up settling out of court for roughly $23,000 for me and $4,000 to husband and wife after spending a weekend in jail. That's not even the best part though. After she was released on bail, she left the state to move back to Texas with her eldest son. For those of you who don't know, when released on bail, you're really not supposed to leave the state. She did, making her look extra guilty. She filed for bankruptcy after paying just shy of $6,000, which I ended up splitting with wife whom she never paid a dime to. $3,000 went towards my own husband and I leaving the state, while the other half was specifically given to the wife after her husband started hinting he was leaving her. Before moving, I trained wife to do what I do for the donut shop and got her hired as my replacement. It's been 2 years now, she's still there and dating an amazing guy who seems like the real deal. As for Georgia, I wish I knew what happened to her. After her last payment, we heard she'd filed for bankruptcy and wouldn't be able to make any more payments. The money isn't so important to me. I just wanted her to learn her lesson, which I'm sure she did. At least she didn't win? I don't know what the moral is here. Don't be a dick, don't use racial slurs, don't assume people are stupid or helpless just because they're from another culture maybe. Cultural appropriation is bad, okay? But then again, in the spirit of cultural appreciation, here's a recipe that isn't my abuela's, but is still pretty great for Cusquito. Here it is, and what an amazing story. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Be sure to click that subscribe button for more content, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted to whenever I live stream or upload. Thanks so much.